So someone recommended to check out there is lore specifically for the game. So let's pull this up. Now there's lore, they say. All right, let's go to strikers. I'm curious because nice. So if I click on this one, does it give you information? Striker info. Okay, yeah, they do give you some information. Okay, so this is the Biofrost Industry Corporation, which I think Panther is from that too, right? Falcon is a Renaissance variant of Valverin. Oh, so this was a one before that. Okay, Valverin. Union Airborne Forces preferred third generation striker, inheriting the previous model capability for rapid long distance development. Valverin efficiency manages reconnaissance, air defense, and air support, fire support. Enhanced by Mind Bridge system, Valverin surpasses its predecessors with superior flight control and unrestricted form switching at any airspeed or altitude, ensuring unmatched tactical flexibility. Falcon upgraded to brake specific by pyrogenesis. Okay, so they manufactured it, but under the partnership agreement. Okay, so they work together for Falcon? I mean, I never looked at the lore before. That's interesting. Okay. Now, one thing that I wanted to see is... Okay, so we know Falcon is Biofrost. That's what it said here. Manufactured with Biofrost. Let's go. I believe Panther is also Biofrost. Is it? Yeah, they are Biofrost. All right. Panther is a brawler version of the Union Army's standard third generation striker Beowulf? Hold on. Panther is a brawler version of the Union Army standard third generation striker Beowulf. I wonder, would Beowulf be a mech that we get to try out? Do you think that Beowulf is that mech that we saw in Stellaris? Because this is a third generation striker, Beowulf. Living up to his name, it charges into enemy formation with a lance deeply, adeptly tearing through opposition force. Its signature lance is among the first global deployed anti-coupling close combat weapon designated to penetrate energy shields and directly target protected units. This weapon is tailored to counter the prevalent fluid armors and force field devices utilized by the 3rd and 3.5 generation strikers. There's more. Insider source indicate that the Panther precursor, Grendel. Oh, hold up. Now we got some good lore here. So we have Beowulf here. We have Grendel here as well. Interesting. Okay. So we've heard of 2 new names now. Precursor, so this is before it was Grendel, was outperformed by Thornblade and Biofrost Industries. Oh, okay. So hold up. It looked like they're giving a lot of lore here. So we heard of Beowulf here, Grendel, Thornblade, and Biofrost Industries. Internal competition. Halting the project, the relentless efforts of the development team to enhance and vindicate design saved the Union from losing this striker, renowned for both its high mobility and robust armor. Now, I'm curious, right? Is the stream okay? Okay, we're good. I'm curious if one of those strikers we saw in Stellaris, everyone was saying it wasn't Welkin. If it's not Welkin, is it Beowulf, Grendel, or outperformed by Thornblade? So I wonder if one of those 3 mechs that they talked about, or that they are talking about here, is actually the mech that we're going to be getting in August. That I'm curious about, actually. That I'm very, very, very curious about. Okay, so Panther has some crazy lore that we might have to look back at. Okay, so it's a Biofrost just like Falcon. All right, Alysnes. All right, Alysnes is a pyrogenesis industry mech. Okay, Alysnes is a unique, highly customized striker shrouded in secrecy, with almost its information tightly guarded. An anonymous insider at Pyrogenesis revealed that the machine was originally named Sturgeon. Oh, look at that. And served as a prototype for the Mind Bridge Striker development by Morcana Brain Tech Institute. When the development team departed from the institute to establish Pyrogenesis, the machine became the property of Pyrogenesis and was outfitted with the cutting-edge brake specification. Several military observers have insisted that the machine has made multiple appearances on the battlefield during the events such as Crimson New Year's, achieving overwhelming victories and indicating direct development of the advanced strikers. However, the authenticity of the claims remain unknown. Regardless, Pyrogenesis has openly acknowledged one thing. While Alysnes boasts exceptional performance and an impressive combat record, it is more than just a weapon. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, next we have... That was Alysnes Tricera. Here we go. So we learned that Alysnes' first name of the mech was called Sturgeon. There's 3 mechs that could potentially be with Welkin, not Welkin, that one that looked like Welkin. It could be Beowulf, Grendel, or Treyblade. So let's look at Tricera. All right, Tricera is a Salem electric company. So they made this mech. Okay. During the correlation in Keck stock, Salem Electric urgently developed its first generation striker, Bison. Okay. I'm curious if they're going to ever... They're talking about these mechs, right? I wonder if they're ever going to bring it up and show these mechs eventually. Because now we've heard like 5 different names. All right, so this mech, first generation of it, was called Bison. By adapting to a civilian walker, the Bison stood out in the Southern War due to its ease of operation, low maintenance requirements, and heavy armor. However, its weakness soon became apparent, including fragile joint structures and limited off-road mobility. To address this issue, Dino was introduced as its successor. So we have another mech now called Dino. The Dino featured a new low-bearing frame that distributed weight through its armor, significantly improving structural strength and defense capabilities. The inclusion of a cascade engine enabled Dino to perform propulsion-assisted jumps and short-range flights. Enhanced joints buffering mechanisms further improve its abilities to traverse through rough terrain, making it mobile incomparable to Bison. Dino was celebrated for durability and reliability, spawning numerous variants. Upgraded to the brake specification, Tricera, a custom model by Pyrogenesis, features a transformation module that significantly enhances its battlefield versatility. So it looks like we have 2 extra ones here. So we have, hold on, let's just write this down real quick. So let's go to our little list we have here. Possible new mechs coming to Mecha BREAK. We have, let's start here. We got Bison and Dino are part of Tricera's lore. We had Beowulf. Let's go back to Panther real quick. It was Beowulf. There was a lot on this one. Beowulf. Boop. Grendel. Grendel and Thorn Blade. Now, Alysnes, we heard it was called Sturgeon. I don't think they're going to bring Sturgeon because all they said was that it was just modeled and turned into Sturgeon was his name. But this one had a different name. Valverin. Okay. Falcon lore mention We have Valverin. Okay. So we have so far a few mechs they could bring out. Okay. Good to know. All right. Next, we did Narukami. Here we go. Let's look at Narukami. Narukami is Kami Heavy Industries. Okay. All right. During the catastrophe, Ushu survived the sinking of island and Korai disaster with the help of the island vessels Kanzawa. However, they lost contact with the outside world for many years, missing the opportunity to develop bipedal machines after the disaster. In competition to create third-generation strikers following the Mysore War, Ushu lacked the necessary technology, resulting in several failed projects. Despite this, with assistance from LuminAE, Narukami was finally completed after overcoming numerous challenges. Narukami was originally designed with a conservative approach, armed with a long-range beam cannon Jinrai. While effective, the island vessel Kanzua defense its functionality was far too limited. After Kami Heavy Industries partnered with Pyrogenesis, they refined the Pyrogenesis is a beast in this thing. They refined the design using shard combat data, technical expertise. The upgrade added a close range model for general beam cannon and various interface weapons, giving Narukami the versatility to handle complex battlefields with ease. All right, so the weapon we know is this. Yeah, the weapon is this. I'm curious though. I'm assuming this is a person, the pilot, or it was like the company. So there's nothing lore besides they just made this, but they did mention that they had to overcome because it was just a long range beam. So I guess they eventually will give us more. Maybe they'll show us how like a prototype beforehand. Interesting. Not too much lore on that one. Let's go to LuminAE real quick. LuminAE. LuminAE. Here we go. LuminAE is an NG Luna company. LuminAE is LuminAE is extensively developed across all branches of Commonwealth of Lunar Mayor's Independent Guard as a support striker known for his dual role in maintaining and defending both Earth orbit elevator, Star Tower, and the Lunar Orbit Elevator. Moonlink inherent from Serenith. Oh, hold up. Inherited from Serenith, LuminAE featured the brake and mind bridge system along with high performance. So I'm curious, is Luna Company supposed to be the supporters? They got Serenith here and LuminAE. I wonder if they are just the ones that do all the supporters now. Okay. This enables LuminAE to instantly assess damage status of targets without their self-diagnostic data on the battlefield. LuminAE is not only swiftly repair allies, but also probes and dismantles enemies' units from their weakest points, rendering them into scrap. Typically developed as a frontline command unit, LuminAE leverages its extensive repair and support capabilities to enhance all ally effectiveness. Okay, nothing crazy about that. I mean, we can good to know that they kind of came together. LuminAE and Serenith came from the thing. Luna Company. Okay, cool. Good to know. What else we got? Pinaka. What we got for Pinaka? Pinaka is different. Pinaka comes from Maha Industries. Okay, Pinaka is a support striker developed by Gidindra for combat engineered troops, often regarded as one of the mass production versions of the special model Serenith. Often regarded as one of the mass production version of a special model Serenith. So how is this the same company, but they're saying the same model? Serenith. Designed for easy mass production, it uses traditional multi-axis mechanical arms for maintenance, and heavy steel composite armor for protection, striking a balance between cost and performance despite its affordability, rising initial doubts about its combat capabilities. Pinaka quickly demonstrated its effectiveness in battle. It not only handles maintenance and covers deployment with ease, but also engages enemies with multi-tube heavy ion beams, ion cannons. This has allowed several Gitran engineers to achieve impressive kill counts, turning them into ace pilots. Interesting. Okay. So even though Pinaka is not from the same industry as from Luna's company, they are still modeled after the same one, which is Serenith. So I'm wondering when we get to Serenith, is Serenith like the first one then? Because if it is, then that'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool. And that also gives us lore that if Serenith was the first one, but they made LuminAE and Pinaka first, that they're willing to go back probably to get these other strikers we talked about, like Beowulf, Grendel, Thornblade, Bison, Dino, Valverin. There's a lot of these mechs that we could potentially be getting from these lores. So I'm curious if they were willing to go back. All right, here we go. Inferno and his sister model, Hurricane. So Hurricane is a sister? I would just say twin model, but okay. Hurricane originated from a highly secretive development program within the Salem Electrical Thalassic Federation. Their prototypes equipped with advanced cascading engine was specifically engineered to enhance the mech's power generation capabilities. This prototype was pivotal in testing the performance of advanced energy weapons and tactical applications in several conflicts, leaving no eyewitnesses records, but haunting a few survivors. Recognizing the prototype's superior combat effectiveness, the Thalassic Federation initiated mass production with two main models based on the most effective weaponry configuration of the prototype. Named Inferno, this model is equipped with 4 high-power cannon ion cannons, focusing on offensive firepower, and is capable of incinerating robust defenses, clearing multiple lightly armored targets with his multi-target locking splitter cannons, making Inferno the ultimate embodiment of firepower supremacy. Okay. Internet. Oh, now we know. I mean, I kind of figured, right? Inferno and Hurricane are like very similar, and we kind of learned from the last stream that they're like the opposite of Stego and Tricera, so it kind of brings it into the lore, which is really nice. Okay, so that's good to know. Nothing specific that gives us more lore besides that it came within the Thalassic Federation. So I'm curious to see, can we go into Hurricane? Let's just skip right into Hurricane, if you don't mind. I'm curious to see what Hurricanes is like. All right, Hurricane. Here we go. Salem Electric Company. There we go. Hurricane is a sister model of the Thalassic Federation flagship striker Inferno. It is part of the highly classified development program and incorporates advanced defense armaments perfected through testing and prototype Beyongana? I don't know. I'm sorry about that. Operating on the front lines, Hurricane provides robust cover for friendly units. Development of Hurricane was completed years ago. Early production batches successfully secured contracts with non-cost sensitive clients, renowned for its ability to attract and intercept enemy firepower. Hurricane effectively safeguards the combat strength of allied forces, minimizing operational loss. Its exceptional defense performance has garnered high praise. However, mass production of Hurricane faced delays due to high costs. It is not until the 18th year of revival era that the cost bottleneck was overcome. The striker was officially delivered to the Federation Army. Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, now we can kind of go back. Now I have an understanding of that one. All right, so we did Inferno. We can go Skyraider now. So far, no difference in lore. Okay. We got NG System Company here. Skyraider is a Thalassic Federation. Oh, so this is... They're not part... Okay, so Skyraider is not the same as Falcon's Federation. Okay, so this is part of the Inferno Federation. That Thalassic Federation is the latest transformable striker inspired by the renowned Valverin. Okay, so we heard of Valverin from Falcon model. So Valverin looks like it's the very first one of its kind. So it's inspired by the renowned Valverin from the Singon Union, featuring a transformable transformation system. Skyraider is capable of switching of aircraft mode for enhanced aerial mobility. Skyraider excels in air-to-ground attacks, boasting its large payload for sustained ground target suppression. Originally developed by Federation Air Force as a bomber, the Federation Army, seeing its advanced performance, contended for ownership, arguing that bipedal machines belong to the Army, thus dispute delays to deployments, pushing it to the export market first. As a result, the Striker is known in the arms market by his nickname, Skyraider, rather than an official name that they designated. Okay, good to know. All right, so what we know here is they're not the same company as Falcon and Skyraider. They're two different companies, but they all decided to be around Valverin, which I'm curious if they will ever give us this mech, Valverin. That'd be pretty cool. You know what they should do? Valverin should be like the heavy striker, the heavy one, because everything seems to be like they refined it to be better this way and this way. So Valverin, if they ever drop that one, that'd be pretty cool. I hope that it would be like a heavy mech, and everyone that they kind of like worked around it to specialize it. So that'd be pretty cool to see that. So we did Skyraider there. Okay, Welkin. Okay, here we go. Welkin. All right, Welkin is a Pyrogenesis Industries mech. Okay, Welkin, a standardized third-generation striker developed by Volteria. Apologize. Alliance is based on the prototype known as Warren. Oh, okay. So here we go. Another mech that we can potentially see in some lore. Let me just put Welkin lore mentioned Warren. Okay, good to know. So we have another mech now that we could potentially be seeing here. Okay. Now the question is, are we seeing Warren on the field with Stellaris? If they're both Pyrogenesis, Stellaris and Welkin, was that mech Warren? Interesting. Sharing a similar frame design with his predecessor, Tigris. Warren integrates the advanced mind bridge system perfected through Sturgeon, which we know Sturgeon was actually the nickname for Alysnes. So we know Sturgeon is, they codenamed it to be Sturgeon, but it really came out to be Alysnes. So it looks like, obviously, as we know, Alysnes is like a mixture. It's like a Welkin, Panther kind of vibe. So we can definitely see the lore here when it comes to it. Now we see another name here sharing a similar frame design with his predecessor, Tigris. So we're going to add Tigris to this mix here. And Tigris. So this is another mech that we could potentially see from Mecha BREAK. This combination allowed Warren development to be completed in just a year, entering service in the military army early as 14RE, revival era. During the Circulus Sea conflict, Warren demonstrated exceptional performance, effortlessly destroyed large numbers of secondary generation strikers, and compelling all factions to drastically accelerate their timeline and generation strikers development. Welkin was one of the several Warren units programmed to break specification by Pyrogenesis. It is equipped with a weapon management system capable of all type of weaponry, enabling seamless integration across diverse arsenal. Its comprehensive armaments configuration provide exceptional versatility, particularly excelling in close quarter combat. However, operating Welkin demands a highly skilled pilot. All right, so let's go back real quick. It's based on a prototype known as Warren. So we can see Warren's potentially either a new mech and a prototype of Alysnes. So we can have Warren being a totally different mech altogether, or Warren is just, they're just going to codename it into Welkin. But it looks like sharing a similar frame design as his predecessor, Tigris. So maybe Tigris was the one we saw on Stellaris movie, because it looked similar to that. So I'm curious who we will get when it comes to that. I think maybe it's Tigress. I'm curious. Let me know what you guys think what it is. All right. So we did that. We did that. Aquila. Here we go. Aquila's next. Here we go. Aquila's NG System Company. Aquila is a high mobility sniper type striker with hover capabilities, gaining prominence on the military export market as a rival to the renowned Narukami. Originally designated by the Thoracic Federation, which we learned a lot of things coming from that Thoracic Federation. A lot of good mechs. Inferno, Hurricane, and I forget the other mech right now. Skyraider. So it all comes from that federation. This prototype left no development or operational record. Pyrogenesis acquired through its unknown channels. Extensively modified it into a current form. However, its mass production was handled by Federation manufacturers, suggesting undisclosed interests at play. Rebuilt by Pyrogenesis. Pyrogenesis in everything, bro. Aquila boasts a powerful propulsion system, enabling continuous patrols and hovering over combat zones to deliver sustained firepower or fire support. Its superior range and mobility allowed it to evade most anti-craft fire, easily overpowering enemies without strong anti-air defenses. Okay, interesting. Nothing specifically here that we can learn besides that they use it to combat Narukami. It was kind of made by Pyrogenesis, even though these are the people who made it. Okay, so nothing else comes to lore-wise besides that, which we kind of see that already, right? Oh, Stego, here we go. Stego, Salem Electric Company. Okay. The Armor Beast Stego, a recent development to the Thoracic Federation Dino series. Okay. So that's what we call the Dino Boys. But now, again, Thoracic Federation giving out a lot of stuff too. Is a third-generation striker upgraded to mainstream specs while retaining its series durability and ease of production. It is currently replacing second-generation models in the Federation Army alongside Bronto and Tyrono. Oh, okay. So look at this. We have Stego lore talks about Bronto and Tyranno. All right. Which also could be dino-related series too, right? So, serves as a long-range fire support unit armed with comprehensive arsenal of missiles and rockets. Drawing inspiration from Tricera's upgraded, Salem Electric has equipped Stego with a quick deploying large stabilizers. These stabilizers absorb impact, automatically adjust fire control setting to enhance target range, and maximizing long-range fire. All right, so we learned two more possible mechs that we could be getting. Bronto and Tyranno. Tyranno over here, they both are going to sound dinosaurs series, right? So I'm curious to see what they're going to be if they decide to drop these mechs at all. So another few mechs. We've learning a lot of mechs in this lores. And I think a lot of people don't look at the lore. Honestly, if it wasn't for someone mentioning it, I would have not saw it too. So, all right, we got Stellaris over here. Stellaris. All right. Stellaris is a Pyrogenesis industry. One of my favorites. The prototype Stellaris originated from the Alliance third generation lightweight striker Dragoon. Ooh. All right. So we got another name. So Stellaris lore talks about Dragoon. Okay. Evolved from the enigmatic prototype Sturgeon, which we learn Sturgeon is Alysnes. Dragoon is widely regarded as its mass-produced military successor, renowned for its exceptional military and agility. It excels in close combat quarters, spawning multiple specialized melee variants, including Umberfur and Stellaris. Okay, so we have another mech. And Okay, we have another one. So, again, spawning multiple specialized melee variants, including Umberfur and Stellaris, equipped with advanced optical camouflage. Stellaris is typically deployed with the Alliance Renaissance units with covert operation. Its missions often involves penetrating enemy lines to gather intelligence, sabotage critical assets, and disrupt key nodes. Unlike the heavily armored Welkin and Umberfur and Stellaris. Oh, is this Umberfur that we saw? All right, we have a lot of names that striker could be now, right? Maybe it's Umberfur we're seeing. We have a couple good ones. When we saw Welkin, we saw Tigris. Now when we're doing Stellaris, it says, hey, there's Welkin and Umberfur. So maybe we're looking at Umberfur. Relies on his speed and agility. By the way, if you're watching me live right now, I'm definitely going to be doing something clickbaity. Like the new mech coming to Mecha BREAK is going to be. So just letting you guys we're definitely going to do something because there's some interesting lore that I did not know about that could potentially be giving us new strikers, which I hope that they give us the option as a content creator to try the strikers out beforehand. But hey, that's my 2 cents. All right, Stellaris relies on his speed and agility, requiring careful timing and precision in his strikes. To survive and eliminate strikers, pilot must possess extraordinary skill, tactical acumen, and mental fortitude. As such, Stellaris is reserved exclusively for the most elite pilots, like myself. So, but interesting. So now I have more of a feeling that we could potentially see that mech could have been Umberfur or Tigris. Okay, interesting. Good to know. All right, Serenith, here we go. Maha Industries. The mysterious Serenith is a specialized support unit in reverse engineering by cryogenesis. Built for electronic warfare, its central computer boasts the power of warship, excelling in battlefield surveillance and intelligence. Its standout feature, a wired intrusion system that can hack most Corxium powered devices, making it a legend in infiltration and assess recovery missions. But what truly defines Serenith is his unrelenting vertical artillery strikes. For Serenith, support extends beyond the intelligence. Sometimes raw power speaks louder than data. Interesting. I do like that Serenith is more of a hacker with that team switching thing. So I do like that about Serenith, but we didn't learn anything about lore. Earlier when we talked about Serenith, they were talking about that Serenith and LuminAE could have been a derivative from Serenith, but it looks like they didn't confirm anything like that here. But that's good to know. We did Hurricane already. We did Falcon, Panther, Alysnes, Tricera, Narukami, LuminAE, Pinaka, Inferno, Skyraider, Welkin, Aquila, Stego, Hurricane. Okay, so we did all of the pilots so far. Now, all the strikers, correction. Now, with that being said, they mentioned that they showed a little clip on that Stellaris thing, right? So now, let's pull up that Stellaris clip. Okay.
Are you sure about joining this team?
Okay. Let's bring this a little bit lower.
Your first mission is to seize a striker.
So now,
any means necessary.
So now this mech.
Your mother isn't the only prisoner. You are one too.
No
That's
way.
sick.
I'm not losing to a piece of junk!
So this mech that we learned right now could be potentially 2 mechs. Sure, it could be Dragoon, which I don't think it is. It could be now Umberfur or Tigris. Now, why do we say that? Again, we just learned it when we looked at Stellaris lore. It showed us Umberfur right here, which it talked about. Unlike the heavy armored mechs, I'm assuming he's supposed to be saying mechs, Welkin and Umberfur, that definitely looks like a heavy mech. So we're looking at this could be potentially Umberfur. Now, the other thing it could be is when we looked at Welkin. Where's Welkin? Here it is. Welkin's lore. We saw sharing a similar frame design with his predecessor, Tigris. So this mech right here, we're looking at potentially be Tigris, which is a predecessor of Welkin. Looks very similar, not completely the same as many people have mentioned to me, but it could be Tigris or it could be Umberfer. Now, that is all the lore we have currently right now. And I'm assuming whenever they do drop this striker in August, we will potentially have and more lore to come out with it. But we're either looking at, it could be Tigris or Umberfer. Now, as we saw, there were so many other mechs that they talked about here. Just going over a recap real quick when it comes to it. We had Bison and Dino was part of Tricera's lore. There was also Beowulf was mentioned in Panther's lore with Grendel and Thornblade as well. All in Panther's lore. Falcon lore talks about Valverin as being the main one, and it was a derivative from that. Welkin lore mentioned Warren and Tigris, which we can see probably Welkin just being refined of Warren, so maybe they won't touch Warren and bring out Warren, but Tigris was mentioned here as well, so I'm curious to see that. Stego lore talked about 2 more dinos potentially, Bronto and Tyranno, so I'll be curious to see what those mechs are going to be. Stellaris lore talked about Dragoon and Umberfer, so there's a lot of mechs that they could be bringing out, and I'm curious to see what they do bring out, because that sounds like a lot of mechs that we could potentially be getting. And I can see seeing a bunch of mechs. Now, there was a commenter that mentioned, I forget off the top of my head, so I do apologize. But there was a commenter that mentioned, what if we got some mechs that look like a spider? Can you imagine having a spider mech randomly having 8 legs or 6 legs moving around really fast as a spider kind of mech or something like that? I'm curious to see what they will do when it comes to something like that. We have yet to see a heavy supporter. I would love to see what a heavy supporter mech would be. Maybe that would be Valverin, because both Skyraider and Falcon come from Valverin. So if Valverin was too much to use, maybe that's the heavy mech and it wasn't really great, so they made more specialized mech like Falcon and Skyraider off of Valverin. So maybe we'll see potentially Valverin mech as a heavy mech. But there's so many mechs. I mean, just listing off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 if you include Warren, which could be potentially Welkin. We're talking about 12 mechs that they just talked about in lore. Now, I don't think a lot of people have looked at the lore. I think it's a really good idea that they keep hinting at the lore specifically. I would love to see some more lore come from the animations, and hopefully they keep giving us something that we can potentially see more story coming out of it from the game. I know they did a IGN live, not live stream, they did an IGN stream, that video that talked about something. We'll make probably another video on that, but that is pretty interesting when it comes to that. I want a heavy support like defender. I want a heavy support and a light defender. That's what I was talking about, right? Just going based off of that lost command. I mean, when it comes to supports, we saw, we saw Bison and Dino, part of Tricera's lore, and Stego talked about Bronto and Tyranno. So one of those can easily be a light defender. And like I said, maybe if they do a heavy support, maybe Valverin, which is, again, that is in Falcon and Skyraider's lore. Maybe they give us that, Valverin. So, yeah, I'm with you. I want to see more mechs like that. But we were just talking about how potentially, that mech we saw here could be Umberfer or Tigris, which we did a lore on that. So, but that is it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.